Well, if you're old enough to remember the Yankees back in the 60s into the early 70s, but we're very happy to welcome into the studio Fritz Peterson. Hey, Fritzy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine.
You know that this guy was pretty damn good, winning 20 games on the last game of the year. I think it's 70. And we'll always have, since the building doesn't exist anymore, the best ERA of any Yankee pitcher in the history of Yankee Stadium. Fritz Peterson, Boomer and Carton, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure. That ain't a bad little thing to have on your docket, is it?
It isn't, and I couldn't believe it was me because my attorney was at that game. When they flashed it up, ESPN flashed it on the scoreboard, they had a question of who had the lowest ERA and blah, blah, blah. And it turned out to be me.
You didn't know that?
I had no idea. I didn't even know they kept that stat.
Well, a player today would know that because they'd be renegotiating
absolutely.
on that
renegotiating in a
number.
heartbeat. And Fritz is here. He's written a book, Mickey Mantle is Going to Heaven. And why the book and why the title?
The book was because I got prostate cancer back in 1999 and had an operation. I had the seeds done.
Right.
And it came back, and that's not a good thing. So, which meant that the seeds did not work, and I thought I was in jeopardy of dying. And I guess I am anyway, but in a way everybody is. But I got scared, and I did some research into salvation. And I found that not only Mickey Mantle is going to heaven, but I am too, and you guys are too. I mean, it's much better than
I
ever
know
thought.
one of us is. I don't know.
Me, obviously. I'm the good guy in this room.
That's what I heard.
So you came up to the Yanks in '66, right?
That's correct.
If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So you were with the Yankees in a bad period of Yankee baseball, but you kind of bridged the gap, really, right?
I was right in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, and if you could pick a time in history not to be there, that was it. And I was there because the Yankees had never, ever come in last place as the New York Yankees in their history until 1966. And the ironic part of that is my scouts convinced me to sign with the Yankees. We could sign it at that time with anybody we wanted to.
Right.
And
were you? What did you do right before you became a Yankee? Where were you playing ball?
I was at Northern Illinois University, just in college, and I signed after my junior year because I had a good year, and I thought, gee, if I hurt my arm the last year, I'll never get a chance to play.
If you don't mind me asking, was there a signing bonus involved?
Yes, $9,000.
$9,000 in 1966 to come out as a junior to play for the Yankees.
Right, and that was to me like $1 million.
I'm sure.
And they said that if you're going to sign with anybody, since you're a left-handed pitcher, you might as well sign with the Yankees because you're always going to be in the World Series. And I bought the line, and I ended up in last place my first year. But it's still wonderful to have been a Yankee.
Yeah, you say in the book, actually, I perused the book that, and I'm going to take your word for this, that you would have rather played the years you played for the Yankees and not go to the postseason or win a World Series than to have won a World Series for the New York Mets. That's true?
Absolutely.
Why not win a World Series?
Well, that would be fun, but in retrospect, after looking back at what the Yankees represent to baseball, and in my opinion, what the Mets represent, the Mets are nothing. And the Yankees,
bluntly,
the Yankees are everything, and they are baseball. They are Babe Ruth. All the rest of them down the line.
And when you see this new stadium and the way that they play now with Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera and Jorge Posada and, of course, on and on, Andy Pettit, and now A-Rod and Teixeira, obviously that has not waned in your mind in any way.
About having played with a group like that?
Yeah, but I'm just saying about who the Yankees are, who they are for baseball and what they mean to baseball.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what they mean. We just didn't have them when I was there.
Right. Walk us through it. You were there at a time where obviously Thurman Munson, Mickey Mantle, Maris, obviously. I mean, you got to play with and become friends with some of the most legendary guys in the history of the game, obviously all Yankees. Munson, you enjoyed his company, good guy. Any stories with you and Munson?
Oh, yeah, a lot of them. A lot of them are in that book, but he was a fantastic guy, a real cocky guy, kind of the new breed of ball player coming up. In the old days, people had to earn their way, and Whitey Ford told me one time, he said, don't send any Christmas cards until you've been here 5 years. It wasn't the case with Thurman. We were sending them to him in his first year.
Was a guy like Whitey good to you when you came up?
Whitey was very
He
good.
was.
Yeah, and even though he was at the end of his career
Right.
and his arm was hurting, we didn't know his arm was hurting at the time, but I guess the people had...
But he embraced you even though you're a young pitcher coming in, knowing where he was at his career. He was a good guy about it.
He was really good. In fact, the spring training in '66 that I made the team, he came and told me before I pitched against the White Sox down in Sarasota on the spring training trip, he said, "Hey, kid, I hate to tell you, but this is it." Meaning that if I did well, I made the team. If I didn't, I was out of here. So I found out...
No pressure.
No pressure at all. But I found out later he already knew that I had made the team. I didn't.
Right.
But he was a fun guy, and he's still around, thank goodness.
There you go.
And we're talking to Fritz Peterson, former New York Yankee pitcher, who's written a book. And, it's kind of aptly titled, Mickey Mantle is Going to Heaven, obviously making us all think that, obviously there is salvation out there for everybody. But, it's kind of interesting. When Mickey Mantle did die and they were at the funeral, I guess one of his pallbearers basically said, where Mickey's going, it's going to be warm.
Oh, yeah.
Was Mickey a good teammate, or was he tough to be around?
Oh, no. Mickey was a great teammate. Mm-hmm. In fact, when I first came in as a rookie, again back in '66, he knew he was a god to everybody because he was Mickey Mantle. But he also knew we were afraid to come over and say hi to him. So he actually came to us one by one, the rookies in camp, and say, "Hi, I'm Mickey Mantle."
Right.
"Oh, I'm Fritz Peterson."
Were you nervous when he did that?
Oh, yeah.
Because he's Mickey Mantle,
As
right?
if we needed to know.
Right.
You see,
"Hi, my name is Mickey Mantle."
Yeah. That's the kind of guy he was all the way through as a teammate. And Thurman Munson was like that, too, as a teammate.
Right.
Now, the writers did not like Thurman because he could have cared less about them or anybody else. But he was a teammate's teammate, as you know what I mean.
Right, exactly.
And, I wasn't around, obviously. I wasn't even born yet. But the picture that's always painted of Roger Maris is that couldn't have been a better guy. And of all the guys that didn't deserve to be treated the way he was treated when he broke the home run record, it was Roger Maris. You agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Roger was a nice guy, again, from a small town that got planted in the big one, the Big Apple. And he had such a distinct look that anywhere he went, you would know that that's Roger Maris. And people just didn't let him alone. And they didn't want him to break the record of Babe Ruth.
Right.
They actually didn't even want Mickey to break it because they were happy the one year he had 54 and had to...
Right.
Stop
But
me.
if someone was going to break it, better Mickey Mantle than Roger Maris.
Absolutely, because Mickey was a...
Did Roger ever open up and talk to you guys about that, in the years after he broke it and the stuff he went through? I mean, the guy was booed in Yankee Stadium.
Right.
Did he ever express any of that to you guys or open up about it?
Not to me, and I was only with him for 1 year there.
Right.
But he did. I asked him, frankly, that spring training again, I said, what do you have to do to get here and stay here for a while? He said, "Fritz, all you have to do is have one really good year." And I guess that meant 61.
There you go.
There you go.
No doubt about it. Now, you're on the mound. Your last game of the year in '70. You're well aware you're going for 20 wins, right?
Oh, yes.
Do you, at your age now, do you have distinct memories? Is that game like yesterday for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Walk us through what you remember of winning the 20th last game of the year.
Well, first of all, I wasn't supposed to start that game. That would have been Stan Bonson's regular game. But Ralph Houck, being the great manager that he was, he gave me a chance to win 20 games, and I'm glad because I never had another chance.
So he went out of his way to get you the start.
He did.
So you'd win the 20, or give you a shot to win it.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
And the ironic part about that trip is we checked into the hotel in Boston, and my room, which I was supposed to be in, was 1912. And I thought, wait a minute. If I lose tonight, that's going to this trip.
That'll be your
so
record.
I asked Bruce Henry, our traveling secretary, could you move me up to the 20th floor? And,
That's great.
That was a start.
So you were aware of it. Listen, Fritz Peterson joins us. Let me take care of some business, and then you know what we got to talk to you about. What everybody wants to talk to you about.
That's okay.
Trading wives, dogs, houses, and children with a fellow teammate.
It was free love, man. You got to remember.
TMZ before there was TMZ. Fritz Peterson, the guy who's got the best ERA in the history of the original Yankee Stadium, sits with us in studio today. And his book is called Mickey Mantle's Going to Heaven, but it's really a recount of all your great baseball stories and your time in the Bronx. Of course, the thing you're most famous for there, Fritzy, is the trade. Maybe the greatest trade of all time, for you at least, when you and your best friend at the time, Mike Kekich, right?
Yes.
We're so close. You spend all your personal time together. Your wives, I imagine, were good friends at the time.
Right.
And you fancied his wife, he fancied your wife, and voila.
It happened.
Away we go. Yeah.
It didn't just happen, though. How did the whole thing begin?
Actually, it really did just happen. Nobody had any thoughts of this. I mean, as you say, we were the best of friends on and off the road. And at a party one night at Maury Allen, the sports writer's house, we all got together. We had a number of other people there, even a New York Met who was a Yankee
well,
at the time.
you hate
Ron
the Mets,
Svoboda.
don't you?
I really do.
You really hate the Mets. Why do you despise the Mets so much?
You'll see. Read chapter 14.
All right, I'll get to chapter 14. All right, so you're at Maury Allen's place. You're having a little barbecue, whatever it is. Go ahead.
And we were all drinking beer and having
good time,
hot dogs. Yeah, and it got real late, and we went out to our cars. Mike and I had come in separate cars with our wives, and we happened to be parked behind each other, right out in the in the street in front of Maury Allen's house. And I said, as we walked out, I saw Marilyn and Mike walking a little bit ahead, and I said, "Hey, Marilyn, why don't you go back?"
At the time, your wife is Marilyn.
Yes, my wife was Marilyn.
So you're saying to Marilyn, why don't you go with Mike?
Ride with Mike to the diner in Fort Lee where we had met before we came, and then we drove up in our regular cars. And I said, Susan will go with me, and we'll just meet you back there.
Now, there was no plan in your mind when you said that? Totally innocent?
Not at all.
All right. Why not? You're all friends, so she'll shoot shotgun with you. Your wife will sit with Mike. Go ahead.
I mean, it was kind of exciting feeling, but there was nothing in mind, at least in my mind.
Right.
And I was surprised my wife at the time, Marilyn, agreed to it because she's from the Midwest, very conservative girl.
Is it true that you put your hand on Mike's wife's thigh while driving to the Fort Lee diner?
No.
Not true. All right, go ahead. All right.
I don't know. I've never seen that.
Did you ever actually make it to the diner?
Oh, yes, we did.
You made it to the diner.
Yeah, so you go to the diner. Now, along the way, just easy conversation, nothing outlandish, right?
And laughing, and both Susan and my exes, Mike and Marilyn, are pretty dominant people.
Okay.
So when Susan and I were together, we didn't find any constraints about talking about anything, and we laughed, and there were no chains or anything.
Right.
And it was a lot of fun. And we ended up getting back to the diner way before they did. But we were there. Yeah, I don't think so, but I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
I don't think
Mike
so.
was getting busy with your wife.
Mike was
on the way to the diner, there's no good disgraziad.
Mike was from California, so he was a little ahead of his time.
Fair enough.
And we just had a very good time, actually innocently.
Right.
And the next day we were back at the ballpark. This was a Friday, and we said, that was really fun. Let's do it again.
Meaning the driving with the other
driving
man's wife?
and talking.
Oh, okay.
And driving somebody.
Yeah, I'm sure Mike probably said, hey, let's do that driving thing again, since he was probably fooling around with your wife at the time.
You mean that's where they were?
And you guys are both products, all of you are products of the 50s, basically, right?
Well,
late 40s.
Yeah,
well, no, I'm saying, growing up as kids, though, in a very conservative time in this country sexually.
Absolutely.
Prior to becoming adults, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking, hold on for a second here. Now, hold on. You guys meet back at the diner. Now you got to drive home from the diner.
Right.
And the conversation with your wife at that time is what?
It's weird because she just fooled around with your best friend.
Yeah, she was just like,
well, I don't know. I don't know if she did or not, but I don't think we mentioned very much about it.
Right.
Maybe because we both liked it so much.
Okay, go ahead. So what was the next step? You go to the ballpark
the next step
day.
is that was really fun. Let's do it again.
All right.
So we did it again. We went to, Fort Lee. I think it was a steak and ale or something.
Yeah, that Fort Lee, man. I'll tell you that.
Stay away from Fort Lee, boy.
That place is crazy.
All right, go ahead.
Joyce Brothers lives there, and she made a comment about us one time. But yeah, we go back to Fort Lee the next night, Friday night.
Right.
And Susan and I stay there. And we have drinks and we eat and have a ball again. Another wonderful time.
Right.
And Mike and Marilyn went out in the car somewhere.
Right. So we know what's going on. So you were slow to the uptake. Mike was right in.
Yeah.
Head first. Right.
Yeah, could be.
Go. Okay, go ahead.
So we met back in, I think, Franklin Lakes where we lived at the time. And then we went home again.
Right.
And again, I said, that was really fun. let's do it again.
Right. So this became.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Right.
And then oddly,
Now, at what point do you remember saying to yourself, when you're alone in a room or in the bathroom or something?
What was the first time that they actually all?
I'm building. It's a story, Boomer. It's an arc. Let's go through the whole arc of the story.
Is that what you're
We're
doing?
in Franklin Lakes, right?
I just want to get to the bottom line.
When you
here.
made
When
love
did
to
the
your
action
wife
start?
at the time, was Marilyn in your mind?
no,
She was not. All right.
no.
Okay.
And
We'll leave that out of the movie then.
I don't know what's going to be in the movie.
By the way, there is going to be a movie called The Trade. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck have bought the rights to Fritz Peterson's life story, and they are doing a movie about it, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
And Ben Affleck's going to play you, and Matt Damon's going to play Kekich, right?
Well, yes, it is. I thought it would be the other way because
Let's
Matt.
not get cocky, Fritz.
No, Matt was a little shorter
Right.
and with lighter eyes. And
Right.
Ben was taller with
All right,
brown
so,
eyes.
as
like
Boomer
Mike.
says, let's get to the sex here. At what point, from all these dinners and drives throughout Jersey, do you and Mike look at each other and say, let's swap? When
Well-
does that happen? I want to hear that conversation. It's fascinating to me.
It was never put in those terms until later.
Okay?
But I do remember saying, let's not, either one of the couples, do it.
Right.
And
Sex.
right.
Okay.
Because I knew if that
Once you do
happened,
that, you're done.
yeah, especially me.
Right.
Because Mike was better at it than me.
Okay.
How do you know that?
Well, his wife told him.
Oh, there you go.
How do you
Remember.
think he told him?
Remember, I roomed with Mike.
Oh, so you were pretending to sleep
Yeah.
when he was smashing out
Something like that.
groupies.
Something like
All right,
that.
fair enough. All right, so, but then the day comes when you're obviously, you got a thing for the other gal. He's obviously got a thing for your wife at the time.
Right.
And then the four of you get together and have, let's put all our cards on the table. This is what we should all do as adults?
Kind of.
All right.
In fact, I guess there was an agreement that if any one of the four of us wants to stop this,
Right.
then it's off.
Okay.
And I think later on at the end of this year and off year that I might have been guilty about not abiding by that.
Right.
Because I had gone so far mentally.
Right.
Even though we went
You were
back,
all in. Right.
I was all in, and I really found out on a trip to Boston in an airplane. I was doing the hockey color with John Sterling
Okay.
for the New York Raiders.
Yeah,
There
that
you
must have been
go.
excited.
Yeah.
It's been great.
That was real exciting.
Okay.
And on a trip to...
You were the Susan Waldman before
I
her
was.
time, right?
I was.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh my goodness gracious! Of all the dramatic things.
All right, so how long
So-
did it take before you guys swapped houses, wives, dogs, cars, and
Okay.
kids? When did that happen?
Well, on that trip,
Yeah.
on that plane, I really didn't care if it went down or not. The
All right.
plane. It was a rough flight, and
Really?
I said, I don't care. At that
you were
point...
willing to die right then and
Yeah, I
there.
was.
Because you felt ashamed of what you were
No.
doing? Or because you thought you'd live your life without what turned out to be your true love?
Right.
Because
that.
of that. All right. See how I break it down, Boomer?
I see that.
Go ahead. So
Right.
what happened? The flight made it. You're still
So
with
I
us.
called Mike when we got to Boston.
Right.
And I said, Mike, who was back in Montana at the time
Right.
with Susan, I said, hey, do you still want to go ahead with this? And he said yes.
Right.
So then I said, let's go.
do it. And you're like, what a sucker. Wait till you
And-
move with this
But you had to
broad.
talk with your wife first, though, right? You had to ask her.
No,
was
I
she-
didn't.
Oh,
I
she
didn't
was
at
in.
that-
She was done with Fritz at that point.
She was actually,
doubt.
but she wanted me back at that time, the
Right.
poor thing, because I had all the college degrees and I had money. And
She wanted a little fling. You were probably
Yeah.
the first man that ever made love to her. She wanted to
hope
experience
so.
another man.
Break
She
it down.
experiences this other guy. It's
Break it
all
down.
crazy exciting at the
break it
time.
down, break it down,
And then
baby.
when she looks at you versus Mike, she's like, you know what? He's lousy in bed. He'll be able to provide for me for the rest of my life.
You know what?
Ding dong.
I think you got
But
it.
at that point, you had fallen in love with
Susan.
So you're good.
Susan, yeah.
So you're good to go. And you and Susan are still together.
Absolutely.
37 years later, thank you.
Yes.
What about Kekich? Is he still with your ex?
No, they never got married.
See?
And Mike is
Played that
married.
well.
Yeah, to a very nice lady that he met.
He's
in
remarried.
Texas. Oh yeah, a long
You guys
time ago.
friendly still or no?
Not really.
No, that's not.
Now, how about your ex-wife?
My ex-wife married a real nice man from New Jersey,
So
an
everybody's
insurance
happy.
executive here.
Everyone is happy.
I
Did
think
you guys
so.
ever make love all together in the same room, the four
No,
of you?
no.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
No,
yeah, maybe
you know
add it
what?
to the movie, I don't know.
Actually, it wasn't what the media made it out to be, and that's another reason I wrote the book, is to
Right.
clarify some of those things.
What did the
Because-
media say it was?
Well, they said what you had alluded to.
It's
the
free love,
60s,
wild
right,
orgies
yeah,
and
the
stuff.
the actual wife swapping thing and all that.
Right.
And I don't think ours was that.
Now, you swapped houses?
Yeah.
So you stayed in your house, or you moved into
I
Susan's
moved
house?
into the one they were renting
Okay.
at the time.
Pets?
Yes.
So
Poodle,
you-
a poodle for a Bedlington Terrier.
So you traded dogs?
Yes.
You traded houses? You traded
Yes.
wives?
Yes.
Did you trade kids?
We did. The
How about
kids
that?
stayed with the mothers.
Okay, because the
in
mom was
those
raised,
days.
the
So
dads
really,
weren't
the
around.
dads
Right.
were the ones who traded the kids. Really.
That's right.
Now, did both sets have kids?
Yes.
So as the kids grew up, because this is obviously outlandish for its time, obviously,
Right.
how did the kids react to learning the story about how this all went down, or were they both raised in loving households, so it was no big deal to them?
No, it was probably a big deal overall.
Right.
Even to this day.
Right.
The
I
old-
would imagine that it would be tough to go to school, right? If it were out there in the press as it was.
It's possible,
Right.
with my kids, my boys out here in New Jersey.
Right.
But with
Fascinating.
Mike's girls, they used my name so that it wouldn't have a split family scenario back in the Midwest.
Okay.
Right.
So they never had to
Because
face any
you
of
sort
that.
of protect the kids
Yes,
and yourselves
exactly.
from. I mean, the idea at the time of swapping wives and kids is nuts.
Oh, yeah.
So you had to protect it and protect yourselves, right?
Right.
There you
now,
go.
personally, I didn't care to be protected because I had to go right out on the field and face it. Like
You knew you were
had
gonna
to
get
do
it anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Right, and I got it big time. In fact, a full entire stadium from standing room booze
Really.
back in spring training when it first came out.
Right.
When we played the Mets, ironically, maybe that's why I
That's
hate
why
them
you hate
again.
the Mets. Us Met fans booed you, huh?
Oh my, yes, they booed me. And if they would have had an indoor stadium at the time, the walls would have caved in. It
There
was
you
just so
go.
loud.
And 37 years later, you have to admit, probably the best thing you ever did, right?
oh, it is. It
I mean,
is.
she's the love of your life, your best friend, and you guys are
Yes.
healthy and still together, right?
Yes.
Now,
And-
one of the things I read about you, and we'll wrap it up here with you in a few moments. Fritz Peterson. The name of the book is Mickey Mantle is Going to Heaven, and there's a picture on the front page of to Fritz, best wishes. You was great, Mickey Mantle,
That
which is
was
a great
him.
keepsake for you, right? What was I
Well,
going to say?
there was
to you?
one more thing before I get
Go
roomed out of here
Go
and
ahead.
say the wrong
Go
thing.
ahead, Fritz Peterson.
One of the reasons that I'm up here, over here from the Midwest, was to look at a new team that's coming on board next year in an independent
An
league.
independent
minor league team.
hardball
Right, a
team.
minor league team, and it's going to be just like the one in Montclair in the
Right.
Can-Am League.
Okay.
But Rockland County's doing a great job. They're going to build a new stadium there.
Nice.
Chris St. Louis and Phil Tesey are doing.
Well, good luck to them. When are they going to
Yeah.
start playing next
They're
year?
going to play next June, and I
Well, that's
hope to be
awesome.
part of the team somehow. And that's,
Well, you could be.
Oh, that'd be
You could
great.
probably teach some pitching still, right?
well, I probably could.
Well, guys, hire Fritz Peterson already over there.
And listen,
Which
if
the
you-
Mets would hire
If
you.
you got family issues, you can handle them with that too as well.
That's
What's
right.
What's
Yeah.
the most amount of money you ever made playing baseball?
$75,000. And
75 grand.
I was the second highest paid player.
1970 what?
Yeah, 70 before 73 when Mercer got the 100,000.
Right. You were the second highest paid guy in the sport. Or
no,
for the
no,
Yankees?
For the Yankees.
75 grand.
Right. Mel was ahead of me, and he was a better pitcher. you
Right.
know, so-
And how are you financially, if you don't mind me asking? Things
not,
are okay.
Not great.
Not great.
You know, we've had to support the two families for quite
Sure.
a while, and it kind
Right.
of put us in a hole. But it's fine. You know, we're day to day, and life is good.
Do you
it's
still
fun
have,
again.
So you still get your pension from Major
I
League
do.
Baseball and all that
Absolutely.
stuff,
And
Yep,
you have a
absolutely.
good, great, bad, indifferent relationship with the Yankees. What?
Good.
You do have a good one.
I got back into their fantasy camp thing back in
Good.
2004, and I love being part of that. I wish I could come to more old timers games because they're really a blast.
That'd be great. Well, we may be playing over there. You could be our first base coach, or if you want to, be our underhand pitcher, we'd love to have you out in the
I
field.
could do that.
if your health permits it.
Yeah, I could
You want
do
to have
that.
Fritzy on the team?
Why wouldn't you?
Left-handed arm in softball. I like that.
Okay, when is it?
I'll give you the date off the
All right,
air,
cool.
and we'll set it all up with you. Okay?
I would love to.
Fritz, listen. Good luck with the book. Congratulations on the movie as well. And it's a real pleasure meeting you.
Thank you, guys. It was
Really
really
enjoyed the
fun
time
being
with
here.
you.
Fred. It's really good to see you, and good luck with the book. And listen, let's hope the movie's a big hit this way. Financially, you move forward, and everything works out well for you.
Well, great. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll
Okay.
be listening to you.
Please do.
All right.
The name of the book is Mickey Mantle's Going to Heaven, with the guy that to this day and forever has the best ERA in the history of Yankee Stadium. That ain't bad, right?
That ain't bad.
Good meeting you, Fritz. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Fritz Peterson, everybody.
Hi, baseball fans. This is Fritz Peterson. I sure hope you enjoyed listening to those anecdotes as much as I enjoyed recounting them for you. There are plenty more laughs where those came from in my books Mickey Mantle is Going to Heaven, where I actually play God and determine the fates of my former teammates, from Mickey Mantle, Whitey Ford, Roger Maris, Bobby Mercer, Thurman Munson, Mel Stottlemyre, and many, many others. Then The Art of Deconditioning is a book where I take a few jabs at the diet and fitness industries, both of which I hated during my career because they told me what I had to do and couldn't do, which nobody likes to hear. I vowed after I retired in 1977 to get up to 300 pounds to teach someone a lesson. Now, who that was, I don't know. I couldn't quite make it, but had a lot of fun trying to get there. Also, be on the lookout for a book called When the Yankees Were on the Fritz, which revisits the Horace Clarke era from 1966 to 1974 and sort of shows you why we couldn't win a pennant during those years. And then finally, Pinstripe Pranks is where you're going to hear all the pranks I did during my 8.5 years in the Yankee clubhouse. They were so good, most of them, that they earned me the title from Sparky Lyle as the best prankster he'd ever seen in baseball. They were all available on Amazon.com, eBooks, Kindle, Nook, and Smashwords.com. Hey, have fun reading, have a great life, and enjoy yourself all the time.